welcome to my podcast Ra in Wonderland. I'm so happy you're here with me today. I've been living in the world of fairy tales lately. I start my mornings with coffee and a fairy tale, selecting, editing, and sometimes even rewriting their endings before narrating them on my fairy tale podcast. But it hasn't stopped there. I've also been diving into books and articles about fairy tales, both old and new. Today, I want to share a special book that has stood out to me in this journey. It's called Politically Correct Bedtime Stories by James Finn Garner. This tiny yet powerful book takes classic fairy tales like Rapunzel, Cinderella, Little Red Riding Hood, and Snow White and reinterprets them with a modern, inclusive, and witty perspective. It challenges old stereotypes, removes biases against mythical creatures and animals, and blends the stories with psychology, philosophy, and contemporary themes. And the best part, it does all this with humor without preaching or pointing fingers. It makes you laugh, think, and before you even realize it, you've reached the last page. I absolutely loved it. Today, I'll be reading and commenting on Garner's version of Little Red Riding Hood, or rather, just Red Riding Hood, because as the book suggests, we don't need to define people by gender, age, or labels like boy, girl, big, little, LGBTQ, or anything else. Garner and I share the same sentiments, so let's begin. Once upon a time, there was a young woman named Red Riding Hood who lived in a cottage at the edge of a deep forest with her mother. One day, her mother asked her to deliver a basket filled with fresh fruit and mineral water to her grandmother. Now, her grandmother was not some frail, helpless old woman. On the contrary, she was physically and mentally strong and perfectly capable of taking care of herself. However, the three women shared a deep bond and performed thoughtful gestures for one another to strengthen their relationship. It was a form of solidarity, one that made the mothers feel closer to their daughters and vice versa. I absolutely love this introduction. Gone is the old image of helpless, bedridden grandmother. Instead, we see a portrayal of mutual care and respect because acts of kindness like bringing someone their favorite treat are meaningful at any age. Imagine a friend calling me on their way over and saying, "Have you had your coffee yet? Wait, let's have it together. I'm bringing you one from your favorite cafe." Would I not be the happiest person ever? Of course I would. Let's go back to the story. Red Riding Hood, carrying her basket, set off through the forest. Many people believed the woods were dark and dangerous, avoiding them at all costs. But she was so secure in her blossoming femininity that such blatantly Freudian imagery could not intimidate her. Hold on. What? Freud? Okay, now the story is taking an unexpected turn. As Red Riding Hood continued, excited about how happy her grandmother would be to receive her gift, a wolf appeared on her path. The wolf wasted no time and asked what was in her basket. Red Riding Hood replied, "Fresh fruit and mineral water for my grandmother." To be honest, I would have been a bit more suspicious here. If I were in Red Riding Hood's place, I would probably respond with, "Why do you ask?" before spilling all the details to a random wolf. But she chose the direct approach. So let's continue. The wolf smirked and said, "You and your mother are such kind and considerate beings, but my dear, don't you know that a little girl walking alone in the woods can be quite dangerous?" Red Riding Hood was not about to let that remark slide. "Excuse me, but I find your gendered assumption rather offensive." I swear at this point I can hear dramatic 70s cinema background music playing. Imagine her turning toward the wolf with a dramatic, defiant gaze standing up for her rights. She continued, But I understand. You have been marginalized by society, and this has made you develop a rather hostile worldview. I do not wish to believe that you, a self aware and rational being, would say such a prejudiced thing. I will continue on my way now. At this moment, I picture the wolf having a complete blue screen of that moment. Processing, system overload. While the wolf stood there, stunned, Red Riding Hood simply shrugged and walked past him. But the wolf, enraged at being dismissed, decided to take action. He knew a shortcut to grandmother's house and ran ahead to get there first. When he arrived, he wasted no time devouring the old woman, who, in this story, is physically strong yet somehow a snack. For a moment, I imagined her as a peeled banana being swallowed in one bite. The mental image was both disturbing and hilarious. When Red Riding Hood finally arrived at grandmother's house, she walked in without hesitation. Grandmother, I'm here. Look what I brought for you. Fresh fruit and mineral water, perfect for your healthy lifestyle. If she had added, it's all organic and detox friendly. Oh, isn't she so boring? I would prefer muffins, coffee, and apple pie. But instead of her grandmother's usual cheerful greeting, a deep voice responded, Come closer, my child, so I can see your lovely face. Red Riding Hood frowned. Oh, grandmother, I completely forgot about your eyesight struggles. But wait, weren't your eyes always this big? Ah, my dear, these eyes have seen so much, forgiven so much, she continued. And your nose? Was it always this large? My dear child, this nose has smelled so much, forgiven so much. I have to stop here. If this were a modern setting, grandmother would probably be booking an appointment for a nose job right about now. And finally she asked, Grandmother, why are your teeth so big? To which the wolf dramatically roared, Because I'm the wolf, and leaped from the bed to grab her. At that moment, nearby in the forest, a woodcutter, or rather as he preferred to call himself, a small field technician, heard the commotion and rushed in. But just as he raised his axe, Red Riding Hood turned to him and yelled, How dare you interfere? Do you think a woman and a wolf cannot resolve their differences without a man's help? How dare you impose your outdated patriarchal values? At this, the grandmother, who had been trapped in the wolf's stomach, couldn't take it anymore. She burst out, grabbed the axe, and in one swift motion took matters into her own hands. The small field technician was no more there. And thus, Red Riding Hood, grandmother, and the wolf realized they had more in common than they thought. They decided to start an alternative household based on mutual respect and cooperation, living happily ever after. And guys, so what about the woodcutter? His only fault was to help a little girl? Okay, whatever. This version of Little Red Riding Hood had me laughing out loud. It was witty, unexpected, and filled with satirical brilliance. If you love modern reimaginings of classic tales, Politically Correct Bedtime Stories is a must-read. Until next time, stay curious, stay kind, and always question fairy tales. Bye guys!